Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for joining us. We have had some extensive technical difficulties and are off to a very, very late start. However, we will just go through the information because it's for the purposes of just recording the orientation into our Heal Myself First series. And so those who have already logged off and those who were not able to log on at this time will get the recording of this meeting, hopefully within 24 hours. So, welcome to our orientation session on Heal Myself First. Heal Myself First is a series that focuses on healing the individual who will heal their family, and healed families are able to heal our nation. Each country has different challenges. However, these challenges can all be solved by their own people and their own environment with their own resources. That is how our Creator made us. And so, one of the objectives of this particular series, 2025, is to get back to the core of healing the individual so that the individual can be the catalyst or the facilitator for the healing of the family and the healing of the nation. So today we're going to be looking at all 7 monthly topics, just an outline. And at the end of the program or before the end, we'll be giving those online an opportunity to ask questions so that the material can be morphed or adjusted to accommodate every nation and its idiosyncrasies, its needs, its differences, and its distinctives, because we will be sharing the principles of each of the topics that can be easily applied to any situation. Okay, I just want to repeat a promotional ad that I just wrote a couple, what should I say, a couple of minutes ago. And this is what it says. It says, join the movement to restore your self-sufficiency and your health. Activate your self-healing body while you heal and replenish the earth. Produce your own food, medicine, clothing, shelter, and become productive and profit from every activity while you contribute to the national GDP. Heal your finances and never need a loan from anyone ever again. Use your passion to fulfill potential and manifest your purpose. Celebrate the differences in others and experience true Ubuntu. Join us on our orientation session this evening and get ready to set yourself free to soar. So that is the objective of the whole series. And we're going to cover all of those different areas. And I'm going to go down, first of all, a list of the monthly topics. We start in April, on April 8th, with my self-healing body. And that topic will go for 4 weeks. The following 4 weeks, we will look at healing the earth. And then we will move on in the third month to productivity. Month 4 will be national GDP. That's gross domestic product. Month 5, we will look at financial healing, not just of the individual, but the family, the community, and the nation. Month 6, we will look at answering the questions of why, where, when, and how. And these questions will relate to our purpose. It will relate to how you use your passion. And it will relate to the plans that were made for us before we were created, so that when you were placed on earth, we were placed here with all the resources that we need to successfully fulfill that purpose. Our 7th month, we would look at Heal My Communities. And that segment will look at groups, the contribution that we need to make to community, to our workplaces, to our special interest groups, to any grouping. And you will notice that this is the last segment. And the reason for that is that we have to heal ourselves individually and empower ourselves individually before we come together to contribute. Each person contributing what they're good at or what they're passionate about or what they're interested in, to really have a sustainable program once we get into the group. So I'm going to go through each of the 7 topics and break them down a little bit so that you will get an idea of how those topics are going to be covered. So our first one is Heal My Self-Healing Body, which is going to be for 4 weeks during April. 4 sessions on 4 Tuesday evenings. The training segment will run for about 1 hour, and there will be half an hour for questions and applications and, making it relevant to your own situations and your own environments. Now, in the 4 weeks of that, we are going to be looking at self-healing body. We're going to be looking at the contributory factors to all illnesses. How do you identify the contributory factors to all illnesses? If we have a self-healing body, then it cannot have a negative condition or a disease situation unless there have been contributory factors. And those contributory factors coming from just about everywhere. They come from your DNA, they come from your environment, they come from your genetic predispositions, they come from things that happen today, they come from your physical sources, they come from emotional issues, they come from family challenges, and they come from stress. So we need to be able to identify where are the contributory factors coming from so that we can remove them. And that's the first step in this, in healing oneself. And then we're going to be doing another segment following that, which is cleansing. Because once we identify, we're going to be looking at everything at the molecular or cellular level, because that's the only place that healing takes place. Healing does not take place in an organ or a system. It takes place at cellular level. And so we need to learn what is happening at the cellular level, why we have the conditions that we have, and why they're being sustained. So once you have identified the contributory factors, then we move on to looking at clearing out the cells that are already damaged in the system. We call them D cells, and they are diseased, decayed, deficient, dead, anything that is not up to par at the cellular level. We know how to identify them. You will be taught how to identify them and how to clear them out. So you'll be learning not how to do organ cleanses, but you'll be learning how to do cell cleanses, so that it's just one intervention that will target all the cells that are deficient, defective, etc., to move them out of your system. The third segment within the myself healing body section is rebuilding your immune system. So while we will be looking at individual conditions and individual diseases and challenges, health challenges of body, soul, and spirit, we will also be recognizing that we have an immune system that was given to us to counter all the issues that would come into our system and to heal us. And we will learn how that system works, how the lymphatic system works, how the eliminatory systems work. We will look at causes of the common conditions that are rampant. How do you deal with cardiovascular? How do you deal with pulmonary issues? That's your respiratory system. What about asthma? What about Alzheimer's? We were looking at all of those and learning not just cellular health maintenance, but we'll also be learning disease reversal protocols. So that can apply to any condition, how to approach it clinically, and how to be able to do it for yourself, with yourself. And this is not an alternative measure to your medical. We recommend continue all medical treatments until your doctor takes you off. But you need to know, what can I do that I have control over to help my healing process? So you will be learning disease reversal protocols, you will be learning cellular health maintenance, you will be learning immunology, all of that in the first month. Then we move on to our second segment, which is healing the earth. And here we will recognize that we have been put here to reclaim replenish the earth so that the earth can sustain us. And so there are certain protocols that every individual needs to be involved in, because every individual contributes to the breakdown or replenishing of the earth. And that includes our atmosphere, our environment, our flora, our fauna, and all the different elements of the earth. Our soil, you'll be taught how to make your own soil, whether you're in sand or rock or no soil at all. We'll be looking at container gardening. We'll be looking at farming on the rocks, farming in the sand, farming with no land, inside in the basement, on the rooftop, on the veranda, inside on a wall where the sun comes in, farming on your windowsill if you're not allowed to plant anything in your environment. So all the possibilities so that you can take back control of your food, your clothing, your shelter, your energy, your earth minerals, and of course, your real estate. Whether you own or have access to land or not, you will learn how to make your own land, make your own soil, and be a contributor to the replenishing of the earth, reforestation, and food forests and water harvesting, the whole works. So that's our second segment. Our third segment looks at productivity. And, you know, learning to be productive and to always make a profit from day one is a principle that we all need to learn. So we're going to be looking at the whole issue of entrepreneurship. And parallel to that, we're going to be doing in May a public lecture series that starts with Every Child an Entrepreneur. We should be teaching our children the principles, every principle of entrepreneurship without any of the technical terminologies, by them actually starting a business at any age. And that business will be planting seeds, watching them germinate, and establishing a nursery for sprouts, microgreens, kitchen garden stuff, everything at nursery stage, and selling those seedlings for food forests, for forestry, for herbs, etc. And all from their own resources. Sounds magical, but it's possible. And we have several of them that have been established over the last few years. So we are going to replenish the earth. We're going to heal the earth. We're going to be productive. And one of the principles of profitability when it comes to, especially to agricultural products of any sort, is that we must move our produce into value-added products. So the productivity segment shows you how to preserve and move into value-added products. Everything that you produce from the earth. So once you have eaten what you need, then you just move straight into producing, going up the value-added chain. And every time you add another level of of value to your product, you increase your profitability and you make more and more income. So that principle is one that once you learn it, then you never make a loss, even when you have a situation when acts of God come in and there's hurricane and so on. So you will learn to make a profit even in those circumstances, because it's an issue of adjusting to whatever is presented to you and learning how to take advantage of everything that happens, whether it is negative or positive, so that you make income, so that you make profit without taking advantage. It's learning how to do the win-win situation where everybody wins. You win, the customer wins, the producer wins, the environment wins, right? And I tell you, it's possible. It's not just possible, it is just really energizing when you operate like that. So moving on, we're going to number 4, which talks about national GDP. And every individual needs to understand that every action that we take either contributes to our national GDP or it contributes to the national GDP of another nation. Every time you buy an imported product, you not only make the other country richer, but you make your country poorer. So we'll be looking at import substitution and the impact that it has on your own financial situation, as well as the economic situation of our nation. National GDP. We're going to be looking at, let me see my notes here. Oh, we're going to be looking at circular economies and distribution of wealth, because sometimes there's a lot of money coming to the country, but as in so many so-called third world countries and African nations, 1 to 5% of the population controls 90% of the wealth, right? That's not what is going to happen after this program. Every contributory factor of whatever is contributed to the wealth of a nation is to flow back to the actual producers, not the middlemen, not the marketers, and not the end producers. But we need to learn to carry everything into a productive state. So we call that circular economies, and keeping the money circulating within the environment, whether it is in the community or in the nation or in the family. Right. So that's circular economies, distribution of wealth, and of course, resource deployment, meaning that the resources that we have around us need to be deployed, utilized in a way that we get benefit from it. There is no point in driving over hairy mangoes and then importing mango juice into the island or any other thing that we are wasting. So turning waste into wealth is going to be a feature of that particular segment. I want to back up to number 3, and learning about profitability, value added, and the time and return on investment. Understanding those terminologies, financial intelligence is going to be a part of that segment. And it will link into number 5, 5th month, when we do financial healing. And of course, financial healing will look at the input of the spiritual, the psychological, and the physical into the whole, what should I say, the whole pot of financial healing. Because we don't want to focus on just making money, but the healing of my finances will also assist in the healing of my spiritual issues, my social issues, and my physical issues. Because we need to understand that, a lot of challenges of spirit, soul, and body are caused or contributed to because of a lack of financial resources. And lots of relationships go belly up because of inadequate financial resources. And it's not that they are not available, it's that we do not know how to manage them and to utilize them. So one of the texts that we will be looking at is called Acres of Diamonds, making individuals aware of the acres of diamonds that are available to all of us from the earth, so that we can capitalize on it and have more than enough at all times. The next segment is number 6, and it's called Why, When, Where, and How. But it actually covers the utilization of each person's passion to produce according to the plans that they were created and put on the earth to carry out. Because we were all created with a purpose. And everything that we need to fulfill that purpose is within us. However, sometimes it stays within us and we are not able to unlock it or to bring it out or to fully utilize it. So we'll have several exercises that we will be looking at on how do you find your purpose. And it's not really lost. It's just submerged and hidden a little bit. What are the steps that we all need to take to bring it to the fore and let it work for us instead of against us? So using your passion to fulfill your potential and to actualize or manifest your purpose as long as you have breath. And the concept of your purpose not peaking and going back down is a very important concept. We're supposed to just go up and out at the highest altitude that we can achieve. There's no going up and deteriorating. That's not the plan. So we will also be looking at longevity and the issues that have been attributed to old age or seniority. And we're going to debunk a lot of those and learn to thrive until we just pass effortlessly from time into eternity and join our ancestors to encourage those who are still left behind. That is possible. You don't have to peak and then deteriorate with a major illness or lack or all the other challenges that seem to face persons as they age. How do we counteract that cycle? Okay. Wonderful. So we have, that was number 6. And then number 7. Number 7 is the sort of a putting together of all that we have learned and making a contribution to our groupings now. This is where the community comes in right at the end. You can't start with a community project when nobody has any empowerment and nobody really has developed their potential to make a contribution. But at the end of the segment, then everybody is bringing value to the communal pot. And that is when community projects thrive. And if and when they don't work, everybody has their own individual resources to fall back on and to thrive individually. So that's the 7-month outline. And one of the objectives of this program, which is completed over 7 months, 4 sessions, 4 weekly sessions each month on the topic of the month. One of the objectives is that we will be so self-sufficient that we can make our own decisions. We do not have to be dependent on any outside forces to supply us with resources, to supply us with grants or startups. It's just amazing how this program really sets the individuals who do it on a course of self-sufficiency, where you never have to seek alone, but you are able to find solutions that have been placed within you for the purpose of fulfilling purpose for yourself. So all of that will be a part of our program. The last half hour will involve questions that will give persons, enable others to apply and morph and adjust the principles, work them out, manifest them, regardless of the environment they're in. The first thing persons say to me, I don't have any land. You don't need any land. Okay, I don't have any startup capital. I said, you don't need any startup capital because you will be given the you will be given the information you need to use the startup capital that you already have, and everybody has it once they have life and breath. So it's an issue of pulling from within each individual the resources that they need to thrive. Heal myself first, heal my family, and that will heal the nation. There are 3 major things that need to be taken back. One is our health. You cannot thrive if you're always sick. 2 is our wealth. Everything that we need to achieve requires value to acquire it, the exchange of value. And while a lot of us prefer to always exchange money for money or use money to exchange for value. There are so many creative ways that we can get value, acquire resources without money, but exchanging value for value. And all of these possibilities you will be exposed to so that you can choose whichever one you want, because you will be able to acquire whatever money you need, and you will also be able to acquire whatever resources you need to thrive. But the bottom line is that the time for living from hand to mouth and just being challenged by one health issue followed by another is over. And we have that power in our hands just by learning how to do it. And that's what this course is all about. Heal myself, heal my family, heal my nation. So at this time, I would like those who are on, let me get rid of Ooh. Okay. Um, those who are on and would like to ask any questions. Oh, I need to talk about the payment structure. This is not a free course. We have had some sponsorship. This particular 7-month program is run every year with a different focus. And this year we have, I'm trying to get my information on, it's not happening. But I hope you're still hearing me. Sir Wayne, I think I need your assistance because I need to interact with the participants at this point. And so I need your intervention. Okay, I'm having a challenge with my device. Hallelujah. Okay, here we go. Wonderful. Hmm? Okay, I will just keep talking and hope that we get somewhere. The payment structure we have had quite a few sponsors who have come in and reduced our session cost from 100 US or 15,000 Jamaican per person to $7. $7 US or 1,050 Jamaican. And that is the current cost of each session. This can be paid as a registration fee at the beginning, which would make it 28 times 7 US, or 28 times 1,050. And we are going to be sending out tomorrow the locations for making deposits if one wants to register, and registration can be deposited to a bank account that will be circulated as a one-time payment or on a monthly basis if it's easier for you. We are also currently making arrangements, which should be completed in 24 hours, to receive payments on the continent into a Nigerian account and a Zambian account, so that funds can be deposited in those two countries in their local currencies. We are in the middle of, what should I say, negotiations with the Swiffing platform to see if we can have part payment in our African kingdoms, Louis, but those arrangements are moving very slowly. And if and when they materialize, then we will just utilize them. So I can see that I have online a few people here, and I just wanted to know if there were any questions. Carol, D, K, do you have any questions on anything that D? I see D has unmuted. Thank you, D. Just unmute your mic and go ahead, please. Thank
Okay.
you.
Good night. I do have a question. I calculated the cost. That's about close to 200 US. That would be for the 7 months. Now, what I would like to know is what's the guarantee that this will give me the results as you mentioned?
What's the guarantee?
Yes, the guarantee that
I'll
I
do
will
this
become
course.
so self-sufficient. And
I'm answering your question.
yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The guarantee is that, what should I say now? This particular program is an upgrade. Every year the program is upgraded and based on what we have done in the past. It's been run, let's see, it has been evolving since 2002, when this program was taken on a world tour, wherever Caribbean people lived, across the Caribbean and in the metropolis, wherever there are Caribbean people. And it was like a Caribbean gift to the world. And so it has been run and affected every nation on the continent, and run in actually 180 countries over the last 20 odd years. Just to take one nation, I have 40 projects in South Africa alone. where people have been taken from out of those little tin shacks into their own environments. So when it comes to a guarantee, I don't know what to say. You know, it has been successfully done for 20 odd years. And that's why nobody who has not been exposed to this program believes it's possible. Because in South Africa, one of my leaders, and I actually went and visited the projects. I live in Jamaica, and 2023, February, I went to look at some of the projects on the continent. And one of my leaders actually put up one of his projects, community development, and he called it, he was doing a master's in community development, and he called it something about grassroots evolution. Because the people who I target are people who are homeless, sleep in their wheelbarrows, come out of camps, you know, refugee camps. And that's my target audience. But usually there is somebody who is in leadership who is a facilitator for the group, because I do everything to families. And it's all done on Zoom, because my websites and all my official media have been, what should I say, removed because of the challenge to different respective governments. So he put up this thing for his master's thesis, and of course they laughed at him and said that's not possible. So they asked to have the ministry, South African Ministry of Agriculture and Economics, they asked to have an inspection of the program. And they went in and inspected the program. And they said, yes, you can put it in as your thesis, but we will have to be a part of the monitoring of the program. And unfortunately, he agreed. So when I heard about it, I said, well, you know, it's not going to work if they monitor it, because it does not require or engage input from any government. All inputs start. And just to give an example, the first month is teaching people how to understand their body, soul, and spirit, what makes them sick, and how to correct it without medical intervention, because we have a self-healing body. My area of training is molecular medicine and psychiatry. And so I am transmitting that to persons in layman's terms. You will notice that I do not use technical terminologies. So I don't use medical terms. I use colors and stuff that a child or someone who has not gotten any formal education can understand. they came in and started to bring fertilizer and GMO seeds and equipment, because I do not allow tractors in our program. Nothing is supersized. We do not do anything on anything bigger than 5 acres. We try and keep it to a half-acre plot or a house pot, which is like less than a quarter acre, and show persons how you can thrive with that. I'll give an example. In the inner cities in my country, where they have zero land because the shacks are, piled together. I don't know if you have ever seen a picture of the shacks in South Africa. So there's just space to walk in between them. Everything has to be done inside the house. If it's a hut, then you line the inside of the hut with feed bags, and you grow 6 to 4 different crops, a different one in each feed bag, inside your hut. And if you really have no space, then instead of growing greens and trees and so on, we look at the individual capacities, and there's always something that anybody can do, regardless of what they have or do not have. And what we started a project, and this was quite a while ago, 20 odd years, was growing the most expensive mushrooms in a 1-room hut where the whole family sleeps on a large king-sized bed. Under the bed is the mushroom farm. And the mushrooms grown under a king-size bed can supply the whole family with food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education. So the program is one where we have solutions based on what resources are there naturally. And people are taught how to forage for most of their raw material that they do not produce themselves from eating, meaning we start everything with seeds that have been eaten by the family, seeds from products that have been eaten by the family, and foraged from the market dump. So I don't know if that answers your question, or if you have any additional questions.
It answers some of my questions, but I do have another. Okay, you made reference to it being done in South Africa. Okay, living in a hut. For someone who lives not like in a hut, in apartments, I'm just curious to see what would be the suggestion. I know that would take another discussion altogether.
No, I have
but
myriads of people. I have people in Alaska. I have people in
Okay.
Ontario.
Okay.
They only have 2 months of whatever of
Okay.
sunlight and so on. So, and this program has been going for so many years that the advantage of coming in at this time is that there is no question you could ask that have not had a challenge with and have been able to deal with.
Okay.
I'm 76 years old tomorrow.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you, but I have covered a lot of ground.
Okay, understand.
A lot of mistakes.
Bear with me. It's just the hunger and not wanting to disappoint myself
Oh,
in
but guess what?
in
Guess what?
that
Guess what?
the
Even
reason or
yes,
the question.
I have had all of these questions already, and I understand
Okay.
totally. And you know what my
Mhm.
advice is? Back off and watch the other people. That's one
Okay.
option. Okay. Two, there are three approaches to something like this. Okay.
Mhm.
And I've taken them all in my, past. One is just decide it can't be done. I've been disappointed too many times. Da 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 da. Da. And so I would just watch the other people fail. That's one approach. The second approach is I will go in there and see how it works out. And um, if it's if it fails, then I don't lose anything much, right? And the third approach is I'm in it for the long haul, which is the approach
Mhm.
I've taken from as a child. There is nothing I think about that I do not try. Consequently, I fail at
Mhm.
probably 90% of the things I attempt. But my 10% is more than anybody on earth that I know. I'm not saying there are other people, but what I have achieved and have learned and grown by that approach is nothing short of supernatural.
Mhm.
Nothing short of supernatural, because that is the approach I have decided to take, not very early in life, but as I looked at other persons succeeding, I I did not come into this world behind the gates, meaning that I was born with lots of advantages in terms of wealth. However, I had deformed feet and hobbled around. And my desire in life was to be a ballerina. I couldn't walk.
Mm.
And so,
Interesting.
one of the things that I show people is how to use whatever is their disadvantage and major disadvantage to thrive and overcome. I eventually, through therapy and whatever else, overcame my deformity and became a ballerina, not just to satisfy myself, but I am a liturgical dancer who dances around the whole world. I am flown out from Jamaica to dance at events overseas. So, one of the things that we need to understand that when we come on to the segment on purpose, we need to understand how or whatever disadvantage you face is an indication of the things you have been put on earth to overcome. So all of those things are woven through the whole program so that each person has to do lots of self-analysis, and you have to become. This is why this thing is called Heal Myself First, because I found that most people who studied psychology do not apply it to themselves. Most counselors have horrible family situations. It's like the barber whose hair is always looking horrible. And this is why I decided to take this approach this year, because there are so many professionals with PhDs who have horrible family lives and do not know how to apply the head knowledge that they have to their individual circumstances. So you can decide which of the three approaches you want to take to this and any other course that you have the opportunity of doing. And if it is that the reduction in the price is infinite, it is less, it's almost 5%, not 10% of the original thing. When I used to run this privately, as I said, my hourly rate for individuals is $300. That's what I charge. And that's not my contemporaries charge up to 700. Okay. For groups, it's $100 per session. And that 100 has been reduced to 7. So, and I also do my programs per device. That means because I've worked on the continent and I recognize the challenges of data and just cost of internet and my programs over the last 5 years are run by device. So a church pays for one series, and then they set up a big screen television in the church and 3,000 people come and watch it. In the homes, one person who has access to data buys the program. 60 people come and sit in her house and watch it. And then they go out in the field and put it into practice and interact with each other and have workshops. That is how the program is done. So when it comes to cost and investment, the only investment that you have to put into this is time, interest, and effort. Because in 3 months' time, your profit will cover the whole course in one payment. I like to give you my extreme cases. My youngest entrepreneur this was about maybe 4 or 5 years, this was right in the middle of COVID, was an 11-month-old child who was so intrigued by her mother planting seeds that she wanted to have her own plot. I said, put her in my program. 11 months, she was just learning to walk. And her mother would take her finger, gave her a plot, and put her in charge of planting. Of course, she held her fingers and put the seeds in the ground. You understand? She planted every seed that was eaten by the family for a week. Do you know how many thousand seeds that is? And I have a system of planting where you don't plant 2. Right now I have 800 tomato suckers in 6 cut off 5-gallon pails. It's like a big bush. Everything I plant, if I eat a sweet sop, I plant every seed. I get 80 to 120 suckers out of it, or seedlings. I do everything with every seed I accommodate. I have groves and groves and groves of limes, because I use limes every week. And eventually I cut them down and throw them in my compost. Can't sell them, can't distribute them. That is the volume of stuff. At 1 year, and 3 months, she had a thriving nursery. Of course, managed by her mother, but it was her business. What did she put in there? Time and interest. Where did she get the seeds from? Where did she get the containers from? I don't encourage buying pots and what you call those things, seed trays and seed bags and all. You use, cut off the bottle. I have 200 containers around my home. I never bought one of them. All rejects that have been recycled. So, I mean, anybody who needs more assurance that this is not the time for you to get engaged in this. You understand? Everything is for a time, and when persons are ready is when they will always thrive. So I am not saying I hope I answered your questions. It's a decision that each individual has to make. Because if I didn't answer one question and you're ready and wanted to do this, then what I said or didn't say would make a difference. And, we all have a little internal clock that says, it's time for you to do this now. So you put your 100%. If you have hesitations, I recommend that you wait until you're excited about doing it. And you don't care it's going to be successful for me. I don't care who everybody feels that I'm going to be successful. That's the attitude that one has to come to approach something that is as off the wall as this. Because when I talk about this nobody believes that it can happen. Nobody believes that it can happen. I mean, like my contemporaries who went to university with me and they don't believe it can happen. I've seen it happen thousands of times. Any other questions or comments? Kadeen? Oh, Dee, can you tell me what nation you're from?
I am from Jamaica.
You are from Jamaica. You sound like you just had a Trinidadian or something.
No, I'm from Jamaica. I am open to what you've said. It's just listening, even though you're speaking, I'm still trying to figure out, okay, that is something to be done. How do you get that part of it done? It's
Yeah,
not
I know. I understand what
fashion.
you're saying. And I
Yeah,
am suggesting
yeah,
that you just not do it at this point. It's
yeah.
either, I told you 3 ways you're going. You either decide it's not for me, no, because I have too many challenges. I mean, I have too many unanswered questions. And it has to do with your whole approach to life, right?
It's not a means of saying you're shutting it down. It's just you're curious in
Yes.
terms
So the
of,
thing
you
is,
know,
yes, yeah.
yeah.
And I'm saying that it is a difficult look here.
Mhm.
Let me just say this. My contemporaries, I have none of them on my program. I have 8 degrees, right? Pursued 8 degrees, including PhDs and doctorates and for my own benefit, not to get a job or not to, just because I wanted that body of knowledge under my hat, for myself, right? Interest. And all my contemporaries, they think I'm a crazy woman. Because when I start to talk about this, I don't talk about around them unless they They make fun of me and so on, so on, so. But guess what? I'm rolling in wealth. And the people who work with me or who go through my program are also totally self-sufficient. You know, it's probably not for everybody. You know, even the good book says the poor you'll have with you always. I'm just not going to be one of them. So, you know, and guess what? This may not be your route. So there are several routes to get, you know, to a life of, and what do you want? Do you want a life of no stress? What do you want? Is this, you know, part of your journey? Is it, you know, it's not important. Anything that causes stress or uncertainty, I usually drop it. I just drop it until it comes back around again. Oh, thank you. Okay, Kay or Kadeen, would you like to say something? May I have
Hi, good evening.
good evening. And wait, now who is this now? Kadeen. Right.
Kadeen.
Yes, and where are you from, Kadeen?
I'm from Jamaica.
Wonderful.
I am listening. When I came on late because I thought you really started at 8. I didn't realize it's from 7. So I missed a
Did
lot.
anything of consequence? Because I think we came on at 7:30. I'm here to tell you we had so many technical problems that I'm just anyway. It is what it is.
Right.
Or no. So what you heard, what you know, impressions do you have, or what would you like to ask?
The only thing I've heard so far is seeds, that there's something related to seeds. And
Oh, so you how did you get on here anyway? Did you see the promo that I sent out on Heal Myself First?
right, I saw that and a link, and it was posted in a prayer group.
Okay, yes, right.
Right. So I also sent it to several other persons. When I saw the topic in terms of heal myself first, heal the family, heal the nation, something like that.
Yes.
Because I believe in terms of healing that if we really allow God to heal our hearts, then we will be able to help others. But it's very hard to help others and not deal with ourselves first.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, a lot of people who are trained to heal don't apply this stuff to themselves. That is a tragedy that I have found. You know, and so this is why there is just all the information we need is there. It's there. And one of the things that I start my program with, when I start to say, our 7 months things are: month 1, my self-healing body; month 2, healing the earth; month 3, productivity, developing productivity out of nothing, right? Month 4, our contribution to the national gross domestic product. How do you make your nation strong as an individual? And then month 5, we do financial healing, which means that we have to learn what is an asset, what is a liability, without using all of these fancy terms. I bring things down to, and my whole program is based on what I call the Hebraic mindset, right? I believe that there is a barbarian, there is a Greek, and there is a Hebraic mindset. So everything is based on the fact that we were created in the image of a supreme being. And we have the capacity to operate within that framework. And that is what gives us the potential for omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence, right? We're not taking it from the Creator, but we have access. So everything that we do here is, what should I say, predicated on the fact that the Creator has provided everything we need, FOC. And that is why I don't use government grants, don't use loans. Nobody on my program can buy anything unless they are buying it out of the profits of the business. So the initial process is using what has been deposited in your spirit, which is in your gut, so that out of your belly flows rivers of living water. So it's based on that premise. So it requires a level of faith and belief in the fact that I was created and given everything I need for life and godliness. I was created to thrive, and all I need to do is connect with my spirit and see that my spirit is aligned with the spirit of my Creator. And I have more than enough all the time. Does that resonate with you? Katie?
Oh, yes, it seems good.
It seems good. And does that resonate with you?
Yes, it does in turn, because I think it would come under being good stewards.
Correct.
I'm one for loans. And I really believe that as we help people to become independent, and actually, I read something somewhere where they said one of the challenges Jamaicans face is the whole concept of codependency, dependency, where we're constantly looking on others to help us out and depending on them. So it's like you become a slave to them. What they tell you to do, you have to do.
Yes, yes.
And
That's the way of the world. And
right.
The name of my organization, which I have not really pushed at this point, is called Kingdom Shift Now. It's shifting people into kingdom lifestyle and using the kingdom way of life and not the world's way. And the three systems that keep us captive are the health system, the banking system, or the money thing, and the media. And those things trap our spirit, souls, and body. So that is why I'm working outside of them and without their assistance. So that persons recognize that more importantly than the assistance that you can get from the world is the inborn assistance that you have from the spirit of your Creator. And so it is the issue of, as we go along, we show people how to align with what you are hearing in your inward parts, because truth is hidden in your inward parts. Truth is not in the media, it is in your inward parts. And wherever the two don't come together, then you need to forget what the media has to say and go with what is said within your spirit.
Understand. So is it a program that 'cause I don't know if you said it before, that people have to pay?
Yes, it is a paid program. it started off as a private program that I used to run personally years ago. And from time to time, different organizations asked me to run it for themselves, but then that requires sponsorship from somewhere, right? Now, in 2019, I was asked to re-record my program and offer it to the State of African Diaspora, which involved doing it to families in all African countries and anywhere around the world that there were people of African descent. And so they had their network of 180 countries, and they patched me into their network. And so that is when I started to get sponsorship, so that each time I run it, either the organization that asked me to run it pays the reduced price, or the individuals pay the reduced price. So I ran that from 2019, 2020 to 2023. And that's how I developed all of those examples that I'm giving you about South Africa. And, you know, the largest contingents were in South Africa, Nigeria. Yeah, because of their populations, of course. I had people in China, Australia, North America, South America, Caribbean, all over Europe, Asia, because they had the network. So it was just sent out on their network. So the payment is, normally it's 100 US per session, because it's like a training, counseling, coaching session, right? And once you go through a topic, you are not given the answers to the challenges. You are given the principles for answering the challenge, because each individual is different, unique, and each situation and circumstance is unique. I mean, what works as the first person who questioned, you know, what works in an apartment. But, you know, South Africa is just an amazing place to work, because right beside the high-rise apartments and the townhouses are these, just like acres of 10 by 10 tinning shacks. And the only space between them is just space to walk, like 2 feet apart. And of course, if you go into certain areas, there are still huts, beautiful, mud huts and so on. So in that environment, I had the opportunity of morphing stuff for every socioeconomic group, as well as every physical environment. And then when I move up outside of the temperate zones, well, South Africa ain't temperate because they have winter, but they're on the other side of us, and go into Ontario and Newfoundland and Alaska. How do you do this without land? You adjust, you make adjustments. How do you do it without space? You find something that you don't need a lot of space to do that is very lucrative. Because when those programs were going with the mushrooms, they used to sell to the hotels. They used to supply all the mushrooms for the hotels, grown under a king size bed in a ghetto. So there are answers for every challenge. And our Creator has given us everything that we need. And we just don't spend enough time looking for it. And it's all inside. I have not heard from Kay. Kay, would you like to let us hear your voice? Because, our time is gone.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
I
Wonderful.
have been trying to unmute and it was just giving me a warm time.
I know. I have those. Call them a junior moment.
I'm hoping that you're hearing me clearly.
Hearing it clearly now.
And I wanted to know, I have a few questions. Is there any certification at the end of it?
Yes, if you want a certificate of participation.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm
Um,
not really very big on certificates, because what I am big on is empowerment, because there is at the end of every month, they are not just
Mhm.
takeaways. At the end of every month, you have to have a physical thing to show. You have to have a process to show. You have to have a business to show at the end of every month. You have to have a thriving entity to show. For instance, at the end of the first month, you have to have a family. That you also have to have what I call a family pharmacy, with everything or every condition that the family has, that you have yourself, from the things that grow in the earth. So the whole thing is not just interactive, but it is a workshop type operation that you have something to produce at the end of the time. I give a thing of participation because people just seem to like certificates. Because once you have the capacity, you don't, and you have the capacity and you are an example of what you are teaching, will throng you. But you achieve answers, you are a living example, and you are thriving. And the main thing that it does, it takes you out of the control of the system.
Yes.
You know, I came out of the system when I was about 23. And never again. No corporate, no nothing can own me. And now I see my contemporaries having patched out after they have given them years. And they had the company car and the company house and the company everything, and now they have nothing. You know, it has several, advantages. And as I said, it can happen for everybody,
Yes.
Yeah. But if that's what you want,
Okay.
or if that's what you want to learn about and then not do it, it's okay. But I just think that exposure is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it being a workshop is even more important because then that's hands-on.
Yes. yes, yes, yes.
You said it is on a Tuesday. What time does it begin and how long
7 to
is the
8:30.
workshop
Just like
for?
7 to 8:30 every
7
Tuesday
to 8.
to 8 weeks. Um, you see, my well, every time I run it, it's a different. It's just different. It has a different focus, and I have to do it in a slot where I have the time because I do several other things. You know, I do consultations, I do training, I do teaching, I do mentoring, blah blah blah. But what I recommend is that you gather together to listen and interact while you're listening, while I'm teaching. And then you meet again to develop. Because on a Tuesday night between 7 and 8, you can't do any planting in the garden. You understand? But you need to
Yes.
understand the theory and ask questions so that you meet on Saturday morning or what have you, and actually do this physical. So basically, I tell people that they need to think of 3 hours every week at least that they need to work. Otherwise, from when they are on, because you know we have so much head knowledge, we don't have enough. We don't put enough things to practice.
True.
You know, and so that's what happens. Now, sometimes the person who is leading the little group, so the group can be the family, or the group can be the neighborhood, or the group can be your farmers group, or your badminton group, or your prayer group, or whatever kind of group you interact with. That can be your group. So the leader of the group can be the person who is the only one on the call. But they know what their group needs and they can ask questions that are relevant to their group. And then now they get a copy of the thing and they will now play it at a different time for the group to listen to it and actually do it. Right? So, because you have prior knowledge, you can prepare or get them to prepare. So when you come, you got to bring this, bring that, right? But the first thing we do, is do an analysis of each person's health. What are your health challenges? And because we're going to address everything that the family has, from the baby's asthma to the grandmother's Alzheimer's, so that the things you plant are relevant to the needs of the particular group. And because we're working with principles and application and things in every country is different, it's going to be important that the person leading the group is able to make those adjustments. Let's just put it that way. Aldith, welcome to the tail end.
Thank you. Good evening. I am so very late. I'm just hopping off a training to come onto this.
Oh dear. Well, we have actually gone way over time because we started very late because we had so many technical difficulties. But as I said to everybody, the copy will be circulated within 24 hours. They're going to have to do a little editing because at the beginning, a lot of people logged on and logged off because we started so late. And there was something wrong with the Zoom link. So I think I need to log off now because my host is apparently the person's platform who I'm working with is apparently having some technical issues.
So, Dr. Chung, given
yes.
the technical difficulties that was experienced earlier, are you going to have a redo?
Redo of what? This session?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Okay, just asking. Okay.
No. I can't because the first class starts on the 8th.
Okay.
You know, and you know, I schedule my time to always have time to cock up my foot and do nothing. I don't stress myself. I don't overwork. I work 8 hours a day and 40 hours a week. Not a minute more.
Thank you for that. I'm going to ensure that whatever book you're using, I am taking the book tonight, not just a page, but the entire book. So thank you.
Yes, Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, Sherwin?
Yes, you could just let them know that the recording, which captured the entire presentation, will be made available.
I know, but I don't know what you're going to do to edit it because is it finished? Have you stopped recording?
No, recording is still in progress.
Okay, well, let me just close off this session, right? And then we will talk off air on what needs to be done to this recording because
I was busy sending out a fresh broadcast list, so I'm hoping that you'll have a lot more head count in a bit.
well,
not for tonight. I mean, in terms of referencing the recording.
Okay. Yes. Well, those who were on and those who shared, well, everybody who was on said a word or two. It is always a pleasure for me to share my experiences because that's where I get additional energy from, and that's where I get my fulfillment from. And so, thanks to those who are here. I trust that you will keep abreast of whatever we send out because we will not just be sending the information on this broadcast, but we will also be sending how to register and get in place for our first session on the 8th, which you don't
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, same time, same place. So thank you so much for coming, and we look forward to the exciting journey of healing myself first, healing my family, and healing my nation. Thank you for coming. Dr. Cheryl Chung, signing off for Kingdom Shift Now. And thank you so much to our platform host, I Am That I Am. Kingdom, finish it for me, Wayne.
Network,
right. I Am That I Am, Kingdom Network. So we're kingdom buddies. I'm a kingdom shifter and he's a kingdom network. Thanks for coming. See you next week, same time, same place.
Bye-bye.
Shalom, shalom.
Good night.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.